Welcome back, everybody, to Club Nurse. My name is Colton, your host. I have with me today Courtney. Courtney is the owner of Ivy League with locations in Boston and Southern New Hampshire. Ivy League is an IV hydration business where people come in for a variety of reasons, from hangovers, before travel, weddings, fatigue, and many more reasons. Courtney spent 17 plus years as a nurse at Boston Children's Hospital, where she mastered the skill of IV insertion and leadership skills as a charge. With a mission to enhance community wellness, Courtney offers services that enhances health, beauty, and vitality through IV drip, contour therapy, booster shots, and aesthetic treatments. So everybody, welcome Courtney to Club Nurse. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Colton, for having me.
Of course. So let's just kind of jump into what exactly, for people listening, like what exactly is IV therapy? Why do people come in and seek treatments here?
So IV therapy is in your vein. So we actually do an intravenous for you. So we're all registered nurses. You come in and we have a 1 liter bag of lactated rares, which is your electrolytes, and it's inserted by an IV sterile technique, and we pick you up and you sit here, and it's a great cool experience. You can watch TV, you can just enjoy the music and relax and be on your phone while you get hydrated. So the 1 liter bag is equivalent to drinking a little over 2 gallons of water, but it's on a cellular level. So you are instantly getting 100% of the benefit. So
It's amazing, really.
and, we start with the liter bag, but there are so many different things that we actually can put in the bag. So we've got vitamins, anywhere from B complex to glutathione, which is your master antioxidant. So there's all walks of life that come into IV League for all different reasons. And, it's not just hangovers. That's like people always think, oh, it's just for, but it does help for hangover, hence your hungover question mark shirt. But yeah. So I was a IV nurse actually at Children's Hospital for 17 years. Always love being an IV nurse. I don't know, there's something very satisfying about swimming in an IV. And I happen to be pretty good at it. I actually was on the team for a while, so I placed those long lines. So had a knack for.
Okay. When exactly, what year did you start Ivy League?
So it's been 7 years now.
7 years. And what was your inspiration? Because that's kind of when these started to kind of pop up, right? Like you kind of got in there before the big wave of these companies started to come out. So what inspired you to get into this?
Yeah, so first off, just being really good at the IVs, Children's Hospital, seeing the benefits of IVs, and I was in the ER for quite a while and saw what an IV could do, just turn around somebody. So I actually I always had the entrepreneurial spirit, and then when I was working at Children's, I was kind of like always had it on the back burner, to maybe try and start something on my own. Wanted some Botox classes. I always loved the beauty industry, and mixing beauty with nursing was almost like the best of both worlds. So I ended up I was working nights at Children's and then doing Botox classes during the day at Dr. Russo's. So it was the Medical Aesthetic Associates. That's where I had classes. And kind of one thing led into the other. I just started doing Botox concierge to like my friends and family, started that way. And then I had always had in the back of my mind, I went to Vegas like 10 years prior and I actually got an ID.
Yeah. You're like, oh my God, this is like more accurate. Yeah.
I didn't have a hangover. I actually had just flown in and I felt like I was getting the stomach bug.
Okay.
And so I went, right online and saw if anything was around, and it was the first one that was ever in Vegas called Hangover Heaven. And me right up from my hotel and brought me to the clinic down the street, and it turned my trip around. So that was like, always in the back of my head. And then I went to Dr. Russo and I was like, can we introduce IV bags, into the practice? And Dr. Russo's my medical director. He's been my medical director for the 7 years, and he's wonderful and very supportive. And so I decided to buy just like on a whim. I had an idea for an event in Nantucket for Fagawi weekend. I bought 100 IB bags and brought it over to Nantucket and started just we made these, we did a lot of marketing prior to it, but we made these wristbands with it Hangover with the 1-800 number on it, and we gave it to everybody coming off the ferry, so like when they wake up in the morning they'll have that and they'll be able to call. And
I think that's genius actually, because especially when people are like, when you're desperate and you just you just want anything to make you feel better. And I think people don't like what I realized when I first did an IV like for myself. I was like, oh my God, like it's amazing how much faster you can recover, and just to like get rid of that hangover. Like people will almost pay anything to just like get that feeling over with.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was quite a success. It took a few days. So people don't know what Fagawi weekend is. It's a sailing regatta, and a lot of people from the city actually go over for it, especially in South Boston, and they go over and they rent the nice houses there, and they're all packed in and drinking. It's kind of it's a drinking fest, sure. So the IVs really were ahead, but kind of by the end of the week when everybody's kind of feeling like dehydrated and hungover and stuff. So yeah, we ended up by pretty much, I think, selling out of the IV bag stuff. So it was one of these first like aha moments, like this could work. I'm like, maybe I will be able to actually start my own, store, in South Boston.
Was this where you started with South Boston, and then you have the store in New Hampshire as well? So you started here in Boston and then branched out to New Hampshire?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, 36 A Street, it was our first location. It's only like 800 square feet, but we renovated into like a little treatment room too. So I did Botox out of it. We've had a bunch of different things over there. We had an M-Sculpt machine, and we did body contouring, fillers. So yeah, it was like my little baby for a while, but it became just so successful. I was like, we need to pop more of the up. And I had met my husband so that was from New Hampshire, and we settled in Salem, New Hampshire, and found that it was probably a great spot for another IV league. So I popped one of those in there about 5 years ago now. So Salem, New Hampshire IV league's been there for 5 years. And then we just kept on going. Yeah. And, Southie was just such a hit that we put one on more of like the Seaport side, so L Street. So this is where we're at today.
Yeah.
Is our newest location that's been 2 years now.
Okay. Yeah. That's like, yeah.
Colston, you've worked here a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we miss it.
Yeah.
We miss
And I'm just so busy. It's so hard. It's so hard to do all these things. I love like the IV. I loved it though. It's something that I really enjoyed. When I moved to Boston from Arizona, it was something that I seeked out because I just enjoyed the job. It's a nice little break away from bedside. And that makes me kind of curious, like, do you miss working bedside? Like when you went into this, like, did you go all in? Like quit your job? Like, were you able to do that financially, or did you have to kind of keep like per diem and kind of like phase out of the hospital? How did that work for you?
Yeah, so it kind of happened pretty quickly. So I had started doing like the Botox on the side while working night children's, and was doing so well with it that I was like, I'm gonna be all in. I didn't even have the brick and mortar at the time. I kind of just went all in. I remember taking a class with Dr. Russo. This was my next class, so the filler class. So it's like derm fillers, and it's where you get the lip, geos, and all that kind of stuff. I ended up. Oh, Dr. Russo goes, raise your hand, like in the class. For anybody that's their day job, and I was the only one in the class.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh wow, all in, but mostly the people that are all in are the people that are gonna make it because they don't have anything to, go about really. And I knew I like always would have my nurse say, sure, like I could go into the hospital, but this isn't really where I wanted my path to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you miss that? Like, do you miss?
So I do. I miss the camaraderie with like all the nurses and stuff. Like I love working nights and now in the ER, and I love like the trauma piece of it. I miss that.
Yeah.
I feel like I was really good at trauma and just kind of keeping my skills up that way. And I don't know. I love being a children's hospital nurse, but
Were you always children? Did you ever do adults? Yeah.
17 years.
Okay, so you never dipped into the adult world. You just send them over the bridge.
Yeah, I don't know. Like when I was even in Nurse.org.
Yeah, but you still have to, like, with the kids, like, you're still dealing with like all the parents. Yeah.
That was the hardest part. Actually, when you're on the team, parents are hovering over you, making sure you're doing everything right.
Yeah, I feel like that's like scarier to me than adult. I mean, because yeah, you have parents go into protective mode as they should, right? Like, what are you doing to my child? Yeah, when I remember doing like peds in school, and I was like, I don't want any part of this. Like, I've never worked in I've worked in one ER where like it was like community hospital that had kids as well, but I hardly ever took care of them. So I've never taken care of kids. Yeah. So I say
There are some things with sure. I don't know. I love kids and I love working with them, and yeah, so it was my passion at the time for sure.
yeah. What have you found to be the biggest like looking back, like biggest benefit to like taking the leap into this entrepreneurial role? 'Cause it's scary to do. I mean, there's no roadmap, there's no guaranteed success. So what have you found to be like your biggest benefit, or something that you find just most fulfilling about doing this kind of work?
Yeah, well, being your own boss and making your own money is one of the most satisfying things you could ever do.
Yeah, like you're not stuck to like the hourly pay that you did. Yeah.
I'm not working for the man. I'm working, like this is my own. There's something just extremely satisfying about it. And I'm such a creative person that it's like, I feel like it's endless for what I can do with this. And this is an ever evolving field, and it's just like there's something new every day with things. So I just find that it's very self-satisfying money for sure.
Yeah, and the flexibility, that's what I'm drawn to, is that freedom, that flexibility. And although you theoretically probably put in more hours doing this than you were working in a hospital, it's your own, right? And like you're saying, you're not having to answer to like somebody else in that way. And so for somebody who was wanting to, like, if there's a nurse out there and they're thinking about starting their own business as far as IV hydration goes, do you have to be like a nurse practitioner? Do you how does that work, like as far as opening one? Like, where are the logistics that you have to kind of jump to?
You have to, obviously be a nurse and have a medical director. So Dr. Russo, he's the medical director for a lot of nurses in the area that have med spas. So yeah, we have it's called Simplas, actually, a medical records app that in real time nurses are signing off orders. So so it's been a beautiful way of actually, I'm just a nurse, but it's been a beautiful way of actually being able to have your own, store, and and in real time having those nurses signing those orders off. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, when I that's kind of and it probably varies state to state with different rules. And I don't know how it is now in Arizona, but when I was there, we had a medical director. I couldn't even tell you what their name was, but my boss was actually paramedic. He wasn't even a nurse. So really anyone can own these businesses. And the way we did it was we had standing orders. So I never spoke to a provider. It was just like we had these standing orders. I would show up to somebody's house or hotel or wherever they were, and I just kind of had like that, if they wanted whatever they wanted, like it was my clinical judgment to give it to them or not. Versus, how you're saying it's different here. Like you have to send it off, nurse practitioner signs off, which I think is more, for me, it feels a little bit safer that way. Yeah, because you're just a second set of eyes to just be like, hey, like maybe not, or
Exactly.
And so for somebody who's never done IV therapy, are there any contraindications that people maybe who should not be doing this or should consult with their providers first?
Yeah, so anybody, heart issues, cardiac issues, kidney issues, those are really the biggest things. We have people do a medical intake, pretty short one. I've been doing this for 7 years, and literally the only thing that's ever happened in here is somebody like fainted from like the IV. So it's extremely safe. But yeah, it's kind of, and then the amount of fluid that you can have based on your weight as well too. So we take all that into. But like we actually, even pregnant women, we can give you a liter bag of fluid. We can give you a little B complex, but that's about it.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, like, it's because I remember my cousin had terrible, she like nausea and vomiting during her pregnancy. Yeah, I remember they can have Zofran, right? You said
Yeah, so we're doing away from
Zofran. Okay.
if anybody needs that, our medical director has kind of gone a different way with that. Yeah, but yeah, just a liter bag and B complex is the most that.
Just to rehydrate. Yeah. Do you have any like stories of people like that stand out in your head that people have like passed out in here or anyone that like freaked out? Like
So in Nantucket, actually, for Fagawi weekend, it was a bunch of guys that they were partying all night, and I was doing their IVs on the couch, and one of them just like went like this, and one of his friends just like reached for like a pulled beer in the fridge.
smart. That's what you feel that you do though. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, this happened in here. We put like the ice to the chest, and yeah. There has been one or two incidences where we just want to make sure, because we take a blood pressure and make sure they're stable. But yeah, we've had to call on people that are too much on knife. Yeah.
And that's usually what I think it is. It's like the people that are coming in here in rough shape from drinking. It's like, yes, you may have passed out from the IV or had some kind of like whatever reaction, but it's probably from just the alcohol.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I mean, with anything you do, of course, there's a risk always. But and it's the part that I find funny, like even in the hospital, are the people that are the most afraid of the needles are like big dudes that like just don't want to say anything, And I'm always like, just if you are gonna pass out, just tell me, Or if you're afraid of needles, it's okay. I would rather know. I have a specific instance that I remember when I was in Scottsdale, and these two guys had been on just like a week bender, like they'd been at a wedding, and they had just been like partying all week. So I went. It was two guys. They were probably early 30s. The first IV I started, got him going. They were poolside as well, so they had like family running around, whatever. The second guy, did not tell me he was afraid of needles, but or even if you're not afraid, some people just faint. It's just a reaction sometimes, right? And they bagel. But I put the IV in him, and he actually he vagaled down, passed out, and like started convulsing. And I was like, oh my god, like what is going on? So I'm like asking the family, like, does he have seizures? They're like, no. And I'm like, okay. Come to find out, I guess actually you can like rare, but you can start convulsing from like vagaling like that. I didn't know. And so anyways, I just was like, okay, we'll call 911. Scottsdale Fire gets there, and he ended up refusing to go to the ER because he was like, I'm fine, I just want to go take a nap. The friend who had the IV going, I think seeing him freaked out, and he was like having a panic. So then Scottsdale Fire is like, oh, do you want us to take your vitals? And I'm like, oh gosh, here we go. So like they take him, of course they're like the wall. They convince him he needs to go to the ER. So I like asked his girlfriend, I'm like, okay, like will you please just text me so that I have the peace of mind knowing that he's okay. And she's like, text me later, she's like, yeah, he just had a panic attack. I'm like, oh my gosh. But so I think like just like the seeing of the somebody like passing out or like convulsing, and you have the IV going, like, oh my god, what's gonna happen to me? But other than that, like it's normally, like you said, like people come in, they feel much better afterward. Yeah.
It's pretty cool to see the transformation when people come in and they're not feeling well, either from a stomach bug or however, or just really dehydrated. Other people come in, they have muscle cramps in the middle of the night, and we give them which is like the Myers cocktail that has a magnesium in it with like those cramps and stuff. But it's pretty cool to see the transformation when people like really start feeling much better. We have our membership program, and it's been taking off because people like keep up with their hydration. It's pretty important. So we have a membership program for anybody that's wants to come in once a month. People that want to come in, like
yeah, depending on kind of what works for you. What I have found, I don't know about you, but like what I have found, like when I love getting IVs is like before a vacation, especially because before a vacation you're just you're not sleeping as much. You're being exposed to all the airport germs and just everywhere you're going. And, most people indulge more in alcohol when they're traveling. So that's why I usually do it. Or I know that you get really busy here around like the marathon. So is there any specific time that you like to kind of like maybe pre-hydrate versus like always doing it like as a recovery?
Yeah, I'm actually gonna do an IV probably today or tomorrow because we're going to the beach for the week with our kids, and it's gonna be a hot week too. So, and just want the energy and mental clarity. Stay away from illness. So, and actually, when you're out in the sun a lot, so vitamin C and glutathione actually can really help, like exposure to the sun. I find when I do it before a trip, I like don't peel, I don't burn as much. Yeah, it actually see you. I didn't know that. Which is really cool. Yeah. But we have a lot of people that, come right from Logan, like from all over the country. Yeah. And that A Street location is popular for that because it's like 10 minutes from the Oco area. And we get people that like want to do it before they, tourist boss,
Yeah.
or boss. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I think it really is one of those things that people like, you just get to like, because once you do it, you're like, oh my God, is this how I'm supposed to feel if I'm not like deficient in all of these things? And yeah, I just feel like full. So as far as, so we talked about the IVs.
Yeah.
What else do you offer as far as, I know that you do like things with like Botox fillers, things like that. I don't know a whole lot about that, so if my terminology is not the best. And then the cold plunge, the sauna, the people can get just like IM injections. So kind of talk about like those other things that people can do.
So we've kind of call ourselves performance spas because we want, everything that we have in our stores actually like help performance. So in everyday life. So we have the cold plunge and the sauna. A lot of people like to do with contrast therapy. So going from hot to cold, cold to hot. It's very, very popular. A lot of athletes like to do it. People that really good for stress, decreasing cortisol levels, detoxing your body, helping just mental clarity. Really, it's amazing. Like, have you ever done the contrast therapy going from cold?
Yes, I think I've only yes. I forget which way I've done. I've not like gone back and forth, but I have gone like I think I did. I think I had Googled it and had like asked like what was the most beneficial, but I don't remember if I went like hot to cold or cold to hot. But I have, yeah.
So you have the room for the hour, and a lot of people like to kind of go back and forth. 20 minutes in the sauna and then in the cold plunge for 3 minutes in the back. Yeah.
I mean, I could stay in the sauna for a while, but that cold plunge, man,
It's
like
cold.
it is really like you have to no matter how much I mentally prepare, it's just as miserable. But after, it really does feel amazing. Do you do the cold plunge?
I do occasionally. You know what's my favorite thing is the cryotherapy. So be it the cryo in Salem, New Hampshire. So cryotherapy is it is cold. It's vortex air. So you are in this chamber, your head's out of it, and you wear like a swimsuit or like shorts, sports bra, and we give you like the mittens and the booties to wear. And it's 3 minutes of like the coldest you'll ever be in your life.
Yeah.
But
So is it like it feels like you're freezing?
yeah, so what it's doing, like the science behind it, is your body feels like it's going into hypothermia, but it's not. So
Sounds
yeah, so all your blood is like being did to your vital organs to it while you're in there, like everything's becoming like nutrient rich, like your blood's becoming like nutrient rich and like oxygen rich, and so it's almost like your blood's being filtered. So when it goes back into your extremities, new.
Like, can you feel? Do you feel like that when it goes back? Like, yeah.
I feel like you have like the best coffee without the jitters. Like it's just kind of invigorating, and you're sharp. Like you're in, the dopamine levels are through the roof.
Yeah.
So
Just like feel really good afterward.
yeah. So we have a lot of people that are got a lot of back.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people that have back pain, they love it, including my husband who's got like 3 herniated discs in his back and pretty life-changing for doing that.
Nice. And so
Better sleep too. I feel like it's better a lot.
I think a lot of this stuff does. I mean, even like I feel like the IV, like
Yeah.
I've noticed like I even sleep better. Just like I think when your body's not so dehydrated and feeling like crap, like you rest easier. So I think that there's just like a really well-rounded benefit to doing these things. As far as like from like a nursing perspective, like if you were to give like a nurse advice on like taking a leap into like being an entrepreneur or like chasing something else that's like outside of just bedside nursing, like what kind of advice would you give them? Because I imagine, I mean, you had to learn a lot of this along the way as far as like the business. I mean, we don't learn how to run a business in nursing school. So how did you learn all of that? Was it kind of trial and error, or like did you go to classes? Like how?
A lot of trial and error. There's been this through the years of, like good months, bad months, like what did I get myself into? And honestly, the first year over at A Street, it was hard. Like I actually contemplated if like I made the right decision, because it was there would be days, and I was there 7 days a week. There would be days that not one person would come in.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot to get up and running. So like you need, like, I say to people that want to start a business, you really need to be all in, and you need to like have all of the passion for what you're doing. Yes, and you gotta know that you will succeed. Like you can really get down on yourself. And so what I did, over at A Street, it was a lot of guerrilla marketing, going out in the street, like just educating, because we were kind of the first in the do IVs in Boston. Like we were the first like dedicated IV lounge, and it was so well. Oh my gosh, like not setting.
Well, especially I imagine like when you're marketing for these things and trying to convince people, like most people are afraid of needles, or and even if you're not afraid, like you don't like the idea of being poked, right? So like people coming in here like are having to consciously make that choice of like, I'm gonna go in and like allow somebody to first of all poke me with a needle, and then second of all infuse these fluids into me that like, and I can understand that concept.
So I would say to a nurse, like go for it. It's just you have to be all in. You know?
It reminds me of like how an artist makes it, as far like a singer and an entertainer. They almost, if you hear a lot of their stories, most of them never had a plan B. They didn't have something to fall back on, and that kind of reminds me of entrepreneurship, because like you're saying, yes, technically you always have a backup plan as far as nursing. You could always go back if you really wanted to or needed to, but kind of like having to force yourself in that mindset of like, I'm going all in, like this is my only option, really kind of forces you to, in those moments where like nobody's coming in maybe for a couple days in a row, like having to, okay, how do I pivot? How do I do this better? What kind of resources can I use to increase foot traffic into here? So it's really like a game, right? Like you're kind of just trying to like figure that out all the time, which I think is fun, and can also be very stressful.
Yeah. There's some lots of failures along the way that have taught me so many different things. Marketing has always been a big challenge, where to put your money into marketing.
Yeah. And it changes all the time, like where it should be going, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And like, like you can spend a lot and then like not get anything out of, and I've learned a lot from those lessons. Social media, through the years been wonderful for us though, Instagram, TikTok, all that. Yeah. I like that, like organic, like rather than putting your marketing money into billboards and that kind of thing that you don't know if that's really gonna. Yeah,
because social media too, you can like kind of track like who's seeing this, and a lot of it is just word of mouth. People tagging you and things is more helpful than people realize. Especially like somewhere, like here, I feel I don't know. I've never gone around Boston and explored like all the med spas, but I imagine now there's probably a more competitive market.
The competition is real now. Yeah, everybody's caught on.
Yeah, everybody's caught on to it. And people are just a lot more aware of it now. I think before it was something that was like kind of how you talked about, it was like you saw it really in Vegas because that's what you're going there for, is to like most people party or do whatever, and then when you're doing it somewhere like Boston, like it has to be not so only for or focused around hangovers, because not everybody coming to Boston is just coming here to party.
And it's becoming a saturated market, especially like Botox and med spas in general are becoming very saturated. But you just need to figure out how you're gonna stand out amongst them, And I think the benefit of me being like one of the first in the business around here has like really benefited me. And like I was so scared that another IV place come like on the other side of South Boston. That's just like, I'm putting one on the other side of South Boston. I'm going to saturate this market.
Why specifically South Boston? I'm curious. Like instead of like other like rather than any of the other areas in Boston, why specifically? Is it like a younger target market?
The young professionals that are on the go, and they're our target audience. Honestly, they're the ones that need the IVs. They're have fast lifestyles, go out a lot. There's groups of friends all around and did out. Yeah, so it's been a great community.
Yeah, because you kind of get like that crowd that's like kind of like out of college. I mean, you still get the college students in here as well, but they've started their jobs, their careers, so they're starting to make a little bit of money, like have a little bit more of an expendable income. So yeah, that actually does make
A lot of marathon runners, people that are into working out. There's a gym and a bar on every.
Yeah. Well, the A Street location, I've been working out at that, so it's right next to there. Yeah, yeah. So the other thing I was going to point out was the best of Boston. This is cool. When did this happen? Did they have to vote this, or how did the?
From my hairdresser did the article to me. Oh, I had no idea, and I don't even know how you become best of Boston. But
Oh, you don't enter yourself in there.
No.
So
there's like there's other like magazines like that kind of hound me to like you have to pay in to like be artist. So, and I don't find that to be like my style.
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool. I guess I was rated by some. I don't know.
That's great.
We were on Chronicle this past year too. So I think with that, we invested a lot in a new website here. There's been a lot of different changes that have gone on, and there's been a lot of sacrifice with me and putting all my money into, this is what happens is you are constantly putting money into your business. You're
Always going back in.
yeah. It's always a sacrifice, whether it be your money or your time. Yeah, it's always a constant sacrifice.
But the reward sounds.
The rewards,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, it was awesome. I saw you post something. That is so cool, especially to not even really know. I was gonna say magazines aren't like a huge thing, but that I feel like it's something that people would pick up and be like, oh, like I'm curious, like what's in this. And I'm sure that they also had something on social media. They were probably posting this stuff around as well.
Yeah, there's like this soiree, like in a couple of weeks where all of the people.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Are you gonna go? Yeah, that's awesome. What is do you know like what's the success rate of the business of an IV hydration business? Do you know? Like, do you know how many are actually like make it past a certain year?
So there's lots of franchises that have come into the area. And I've heard a few things with it. I think that this one franchise, I guess like since.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So not every area is set up with an IV place. So we did hire a marketing officer this past year that's been very helpful. And I think it is really important to do your research on like, okay, who's Googling IV therapy or me or, so that's extremely important because like you want to be in those areas that people are
like those hot spots. Yeah.
You can't just pick a place and then like come.
Yeah. You need the right people that are willing to do these kinds of things. It's not for everybody. So to kind of round this out, I mean, do you have anything that you would like to leave the audience with? Any words of wisdom? Any like how can people find you? Like what's anything that you want to leave the audience with? Because this is mostly nurses who watch this, but it's not all nurses. The intent behind the podcast was obviously like we're through the Nurse.org network, but I think that this for really anybody who wants to, come here to get inspiration, motivation, or just learn like other ways of life. So do you have like any parting words for people? How can we find you? How do people come get your services?
Yeah, so Dr. Joseph Russo, he owns the Medical Aesthetic Associates. He offers classes and he's amazing. He's got a great team, and I that's one of my biggest like questions is like, how did you start this? Like, how do I even like get up and running with this? Well, you got to start with the education piece. You got to start with the classes, and you have to definitely get a medical director. So, and Dr. Russo, he owns the aesthetic school. He's actually called the I think it's the Aesthetic Instructor now, but he's out of Woburn, and he's got a team of nurse that are very supportive. And so that's where, like if somebody is trying to start aesthetics, like you can, start taking classes at his school. That's I'm giving him the plug because he's my medical director. But yeah, I just say if you have the passion and you have the drive and get ready to work every day of the week, and this phone is like it's never not at my side. Like I have 22 nurses now, and it's you're constantly on the phone. You have to be available for everybody, and you got to be up for the challenge. But it's like so rewarding. You can find us. So we got the 3 stores at 36 A Street in South Boston, 47 Elm Street in South Boston, and then 23 South Broadway in Salem, New Hampshire. And ivyleaguehydrate.com is our website. It's really easy to book. We offer 15% off to our nurses and any first responders and military. And we take walk-ins all day. So we make it very easy for you. We'll never not, shoot. We'll never shoo you away.
No, we'll get you.
We got plenty of space, and really, you never wait for an IV. There's, on weekends, sometimes at A Street there can be, but in the L Street location there's a lot of chairs there. But if you're looking to do an IV or any of these services, the IVs are walk-in based. Botox and fillers and the cold plunge and sauna, we suggest you sign up online. But
Are you still doing, one more thing, are you still doing like semaglutide for people as well? Yeah. What's your...
very popular thing they'll come. So semaglutide is the active ingredients in Ozempic. So it's a GLP-1 inhibitor. We also offer tirzepatide too. And it's amazing what it does. It's changed lives.
What's your outlook on it? Like, is this something that people are on forever, or is it something that's supposed to be just like a phase of your life and then you kind of wean off of it?
Yep. So everybody's kind of differing with it. So we have you sign up for 3 months. So that's the minimum due because, you can get rebound weight gain with it. So everybody here has done different things. So we have people like microdosing, like just doing a small amount every week and just kind of keeping on like a maintenance dose. Or we have people that have weaned off of it or have lost their weight and have weaned off of it. It's been very small. That is what I actually did. So I was on it for about 6 months and I weaned off of it.
Okay.
And
you've been able to like maintain where you want to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So GLP-1s, they regulate your blood sugar. They help you with the craving. It's actually been shown to help alcohol craving.
Oh, really?
Which is really cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And also, so when you take the GLP, your food stays in your stomach like times longer. The stuff
Okay.
feels
So you're not like it's harder. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's a very popular thing here. NAD.
Oh, yeah.
Our IV drip NAD. We also have injections, and we have these patches, which are pretty cool. I got them. They're new, and a big fan.
Yeah. You have one on now, right?
I have
Yeah.
one on it.
Yeah. What's it do?
So NAD stands for a long name, which I can't pronounce, but NAD is a coenzyme, actually the precursor to B3. So NAD is the energy that regenerates your cells and helps your cells from dying off. So if we actually had a diagnosis for aging, it would be lack of NAD in our cells. So when you put NAD back in, you can reverse the biological aging process. It's pretty insane. It helps your brain, the mitochondria in your brain, and almost feel.
Is it like so for these patches, I mean, how long or how often?
So the patches, so the recommendation for it is to wear, so it's 3 patches, 3 days in a row. So you wear it for 14 hours. So in the morning you put on a patch, and then at night you take the patch off, and then the next day, and then the next day. And then after that you wear the patch once a week. So after that. So this package actually has patches in it, and it will last you a month. And it's a really nice way of getting the NAD.
Yeah. And you feel like that clarity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love the IVs, and I'll continue to do the IVs with NAD. But this is a really nice thing in between, in between the IV drip.
How often?
Drip get NAD is through NAD, but I do have to say that the benefits of these NAD patches are insane.
Yeah. Yeah. So how often do you do an AD drip?
So I like to do it like every 2 to 3 months.
Oh.
Yeah, just one drip. And I kind of know that I need it when my eyesight a little worse. I'm simply like looking at my phone and it's getting fuzzy. I need my readers, and that takes and really help my eyesight. Interesting. Well, yeah. I start finding my words a little easier when I take NAD.
Yeah.
You're just sharper, more energy. A lot of athletes take it for, I actually got recommended, but because we do a lot of NFL athletes, and found out through them about NAD. That's how we introduced it into practice, because a lot of these NFL players, they need to recover faster. And yeah.
Well, I love it. Science. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, so honestly, I think like I said, like with my idea with this podcast is I think it's just it's amazing for people, especially nurses, to see people like you who have taken the leap, and whether it be, it doesn't have to be in an IV hydration business. It could be really anything. And just understanding that as nurses, like we have so much more tools and knowledge than people would think. And because I think a lot of nurses get so stuck in the mindset that, you go to nursing school, you have to work at the bedside. It's like, it's the path that they cut out for us when we're in school. And so one of my biggest messages to people that I want to push forward is that you don't have to. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with working in the hospital at the bedside if that's what you want to do. But there's so many other things that you can do. And even like with your story and your journey, when you started the business, you still could have, worked per diem and stayed at the bedside if you had just wanted that exposure still. Like there's so many different ways to go about it. And so, yeah, I just think it's great for people to see your journey and to hear how you've kind of got from point A to point B. I think it's inspiring, and it's great to see. And yeah, so thank you for sharing and being here. Yeah. And if anybody's ever in Boston, make sure you come to Ivy League.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Reach for your dreams. Like, I remember leaving Children's Hospital, and like some of the nurses would come up to me and be like, "Oh my gosh, Courtney, how are you going to do it? Like, how are you going to get health insurance? How are you going to, because we're, in the hospital, you're so set in your ways. Like, you're getting your paycheck. It's a very stable environment, and, the leap's no joke."
Yeah, you're shaking up your whole world, and it is a risk. There's no guarantee. And a big point you just made is health insurance. People are always so afraid of like losing the benefits, and for me, I just always think, like, yes, I understand people have barriers to that if you deal with chronic illness or you have a family to support, but I just always think, are you gonna let that dictate your whole, like, are you gonna allow the fact that you have health insurance and some benefits to control how your entire life goes? I don't know, for me that doesn't sound great. Like, of course benefits are nice to have, but if you'll figure it out. There's always another way, and if you really truly want it, I think you are a great example that if you put in the work and you're willing to sacrifice and go for it, that great things can happen. And for people too, like even if you try something and it fails, like you're gaining so many skills and lessons and like just great stories by just doing it anyway. Right. And you were working as a nurse in the hospital with no business experience, and now, without having to go get a master's degree. I don't know if you have your MBA or not, but like if you, without having to do that, like you can still now teach somebody how to start a business, and it's just like a whole different set of skills that like I don't think people understand the value in. I think it's highly valuable. Yeah. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you
Course.
for having me.
Of course.